This has been our journey. We started off in 2010 with the Denbigh Passivhaus, which is the second domestic dwelling in England to be a certified Passivhaus. Then we've done various other things. This was a retrofit near home for us. So we've actually done quite a bit of our own building and renovating. We've also been consultants on over 100 other projects around the UK at the Passivhaus. But really, why Passivhaus? In the UK, we have SAP and we have building regs for domestic dwellings. SAP does a really good job of making sure you meet building regs. It does an absolutely terrible job at the energy assessment of the buildings, but it does make sure you meet building regs. Passivhaus is a really rigorous form of designing, modelling, and delivering what you've designed and modelled. So you actually end up with, on site, what you're living in was what you designed in the first place. And that's down to the software PAPP, the Passivhaus Planning Package. The key thing about the Passivhaus Planning Package is it's about the house that you're designing in the location where it is, with the materials that you're using, with the elevations that you've got. SAP is a sum of averages. It uses notional house types. It uses an average of thermal bridging. If you weren't aware, it uses the weather data of Derby. It doesn't matter where you are in the UK. Inverness, Scilly Isles, London, it's the weather data from Derby. So it's a sum of averages, which is why it basically gets it wrong. PHPP is your house, your location, your weather details, which is why it gets it right. And this is why it started. It's all based on physics. It started from this Austrian physicist. I called him a German physicist for many years, but he's Austrian, is Wolfgang Feist. Back in the 1980s, we had an oil embargo, and the cost of energy shot up, for those around who can remember it, and we started wrapping buildings in more and more insulation to save energy, not to be held to ransom with the people with all the energy. So it was capitalistic issues. It wasn't environmental issues. Let's stop buying all this oil. For money issues. Wolfgang heard that in Germany, buildings were getting wrapped in more and more insulation and failing to reduce energy consumption, which, as a physicist, he said, doesn't make sense. Now, as a physicist, not an architect or a builder, anything to do with the building trade, he designed these beautiful apartments in Darmstadt in Germany back in 1991. Firstly, they proved Wolfgang's theories. Secondly, they effectively laid down the Passivhaus standard. And the Passivhaus standard, it varies slightly over the years, but it really keeps to the main principles back in 1991. And now we have Passivhaus Classic Fabric, we have Passivhaus Plus that looks at the renewables, and Passivhaus Premium that really looks at the renewables after you've got the fabric right. Because the renewables will work at their best when you've got the fabric right. Now, what Wolfgang, he didn't start from scratch with this back in 1991. ISO 7730 is an international definition for comfort for human beings whilst we are inside buildings that's been around since the 1970s. It's been well known for decades what keeps us comfortable and uncomfortable while we're inside buildings. So Wolfgang really looked at this and then used physics to see how we can make the building fabric deliver this. And the Passivhaus standard comes into play all over the world. It's in Australia, it's in Spain, it's in China. In fact, in China, the world's first Passivhaus city is actually underway. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, it doesn't matter how you're building it. If you go use the PAPP and watch what you do with the design, you end up with the same result. I mentioned earlier about SAP. This was Leeds Met University, I think Leeds Beckett now. But they looked at houses, what SAP was predicting they would use for energy, and what they actually used. So the blue line is prediction, the red line is in use. Those three are passive houses. Hopefully there's two things you can notice. How much less energy they're using in total, but just look how close design prediction is to the buildings actually in use. This is PHPP, because it's looking at your house. And this is a plaque on every certified passive house in the UK. 0.6 air changes an hour. Quite tight to get that, but that's one of the key principles of passive house. All about comfort. 17 degrees maximum temperature, lowest temperature on inner panes on a cold winter's day. That's all surfaces as well, but also on your glass. Overheating. This is slightly counterintuitive to everybody, because we Brits concentrate on keeping ourselves lovely and warm in winter. When you build a passive house, it flips, because keep yourself warm in winter becomes easy. Overheating in summer becomes the biggest risk. So passive house looks at that as well. And then ventilation, constant ventilation, balanced ventilation, intake and exhaust balanced, actually being the same in as out. And then needing just that heating. There's 15 kilowatt hours per square metre per annum space heating or cooling. That translates to 10 watts per square metre needed to space heat or space cool buildings. So a 100 square metre building would need 1 kilowatt of energy to heat the entire building on a cold winter's day. But it's a bit different where we are. It doesn't matter where that comes from neither. We human beings give off 100 to 140 watts just by, well, being here. So 2 people in a house can eat 28 square metres of it just by being in it. Then you've got sunlight, cooking, lighting, washing, all feed in to the 10 watts. But what Passive House also looks at is primary energy. Everything the building's looking at, using energy for. Cooking, lighting, washing, everything you use energy for. SAP looks at space heating and water heating only. Passive House looks at everything. Has it moved? Oh, so that's the difference. So you've got the 4 key comfort criteria of Passive House, and then you've got the 2 energy calculations. Anybody who hasn't used or heard of PHP, you'll be pleased to know it's a 38-page Excel spreadsheet. Page 1 to 37 is everything about your project. You may go grey, actually, finding some details you've never thought about before. Then on page 38, you get an answer. 2 answers. You're looking for those 2 answers in green there. So it's comfort by low energy. Because Passive House is all about delivering comfort for human beings inside buildings. The byproduct of that is it uses minimal energy and saves lots of money doing it. But it's the comfort criteria Passive House is setting out to do. And this is the key thing of ISO 7730 and Passive House. We in the UK are caught in the Northern European zone for Passive House. I know Brexit's now happened, but we're still in the Northern European zone for Passive House. And we have to prove comfort to -10. And ISO 7730 has proven that we human beings are comfortable inside buildings at 21 degrees air temperature, provided the surfaces around us do not move more than 4.2 degrees away from that. Because if the temperature gradient goes beyond 4.2 degrees, we start to feel it and it makes us uncomfortable. So in a Passive House, when it's -10 outside, which is the comfort criteria we have to prove to, 21 degrees inside, all the surfaces around you, including that of glass and windows and doors, cannot drop below +17. And in doing so, you remain comfortable. You may have 18 degrees, 19 degrees, 20 degrees as you move around the building, but if it stays in that 4-degree gradient, you won't pick up on it. So flip it on its head. That rare day, particularly where I am in North Manchester, we get 35 degrees a year. The Passive House will stay 25 degrees or below. A Passive House gives you all year round comfort by keeping everything within 4 degrees either side of 21 degrees. That's why it works all year round. Because that key comfort criteria, as defined by ISO 7730, as long as temperatures remain within 4 degrees of that nice 21 degrees, we remain comfortable. So what's it all about? It's insulation. Super insulation, being careful, and it's continuous insulation. Getting rid of thermal bridges. Thermal bridging can be 30% of a building's heat loss. It really needs some attention. Air-tightness. I'll go into a bit more detail. And ventilation. Mechanical ventilation with heat recovery is the heart and lungs of every Passive House. Form, shape's important. The surface area compared to the floor area is important in Passive House. And then the obvious one, solar gains the orientation, can give us lovely warm in winter, but we don't want to bake in the summer. So, it's high levels of continuous insulation. Now, it may or may not be the first time you think about this, but windows and doors are not just for letting light and burglars in. They are a key part of your thermal barrier. 0.8 is brilliant for a window, but we're still nearly 6 times worse than the rest of the envelope. So windows and doors need particular attention. Minimal thermal bridging. SAP is an average of the building. PHPP wants to know what is going on everywhere, where floor meets wall, where wall meets roof, where window meets wall, anything passing through the envelope, exactly what is going on at that point. A continuous air barrier. We're now at 5 air changes now at building regs in the UK. Used to be 10, we're now at 5. Passivhaus, it's 0.6, and always has been. There's your first failure, really. Blower door test, don't do 0.6, you haven't got a Passivhaus. That plaque is already with the 4 key comfort criteria and the energy. Miss any one of those lines, and you've no longer got a Passivhaus. High efficiency mechanical ventilation heat recovery. All the ducting needs to be inside the envelope. It is much easier and better if the MVHR unit can be as well. Although you can do it outside the envelope, but it's much easier and better if it can be inside the envelope. And strangely enough, the incoming air and the outgoing air have to be balanced on volume, pressure and speed, because an MVHR unit can only give its true heat recovery rate if the air's passing, it's balanced. And in Passivhaus, that has to be delivered silently, and you can't feel it neither. SAP. It really does well on ventilation rates, but a jet engine can be delivering those ventilation rates. Air-tightness, why is it so important? Well, air movement gives you heat transfer. On a lovely, crisp, cold winter's day, go for a walk down by the river, out in the dales, thick woolly jumper or a fleece on, keeping you lovely and warm, and then the wind gets up. It cuts through that jumper, you feel the cold. Gore-Tex layer over your jumper, or other brands. Now the wind's not getting through. Strangely now your insulation's doing its job again. It's the same with buildings. If air can pass round through or over your insulation, it's destroying the values of it. Now this is a very, very old slide. And people may have seen it, it will be boring people, but it's been around for decades. But it's 1 square metre of plasterboard, 14 centimetres of rock wool, given a U value of 0.3. We then have 20 pascals of pressure, which is about a 12 to 15 mile an hour wind. And we put a standing knife cut through that plasterboard. And we're now there. Air-tightness. Super insulation and stringent air-tightness go hand in hand. Because if not, if you haven't got the air-tightness, you have not got your super insulation. You paid for the super insulation, but you ain't got it. And then we want to maximise solar gains and always protecting from overheating. 10 watts a square metre space heating and cooling. When it's minus 10, the comfort criteria. Every day you don't get minus 10, the need for that 10 watts comes down and down and down and down, which could be why Exeter City Council, who've been building Passivhaus since 2012, 67% of their clients have yet to turn the heating on, because that 10 watt trigger has never actually been delivered. You have to put it in. Passivhaus certification requires you've got 10 watts per square metre available should it be needed. Just it won't always be needed. Form factor, this is my first simplistic slide on form factor. If you build a 6 metre cube, we have 72 square metres of floor area, 216 square metres of surface area. Elongated, oblong, rectangular, whatever they call it. We've now got the same floor area, but we've increased the surface area for that floor area to lose its heat from. This is, in Passivhaus, you need between 0.1 and 0.15 U value for the thermal envelope. The form factor is one of the key things that moves you up and down there. The more difficult the form to shape, the more heat loss you got for the floor area, the more insulation you will need. The simpler you keep the shape, the less surface volume you got, the less insulation you'll need. Now, I found this recently. Eco-design consultants, they're actually Passivhaus architects in Milton Keynes, but they did this report for the NHBC. First floor flat, Get my glasses back on for this. 93 square metres of floor area, 74 square metres of heat loss area. Detached bungalow. Look at the difference. Same floor area. So now we've got 279 square metres of surface of heat loss area for the same floor area. You can download this report. It actually was done for an HBC, but it really is informing to Passivhaus because it's the same sort of thing that's going on. The key to success, it is the accurate modelling of PHPP about the building you're building, the location that you're building in, with the materials that you're using. Teamwork. Everybody's got to know what you're doing. You can't have plumbers just knocking bricks out of walls to put pipe work through, as they do, when you trying to get 0.6 air changes an hour. Everybody needs to be on the same page, same Bible, know what you're after. Training. Anybody coming to site, perhaps if it's their first Passivhaus, really bringing them up to standard of what they need to do and why they need to do it. If you explain to people why, they'll listen more and will help you get to that area. And then the quality assurance certification, Passivhaus certified. You do your design in PHPP, going grey, making it work the first time you're doing it. You pass that to the certifier who checks everything, gives you the thumbs up, that's all working. The certifier then checks the builder, delivers it. Now some people say, we're going to use the principles of Passivhaus, but we're not going to certify. Some builders struggle to deliver building regs without being checked on. A builder delivering your Passivhaus design, left to his own devices? No, I'm not sure myself. So Passivhaus certification really makes sure the builder delivers what you've got all that headache into designing, and then you can call your house a Passivhaus, because it isn't certified, you can't. Just to byword that one. That is a bit of a gallop through, and like I say, I'm not a consultant, I'm not an expert. I pick up on the key bits and do presentations all over the UK, just trying to sell the concept of Passivhaus. But it is a concept that's about comfort, and that comfort can be delivered with low energy, and therefore you don't need to spend a lot of money on space heating and cooling. Hastow Housing Association have been really powering this in the housing association world. 1-bedroom apartments, £55 a year to space heat and cool. 3-bedroom use houses, £120 a year to space heat and cool. Except the ones they did in St Mary's Close in Oldham, where they got the PHPP calculations wrong, and it ended up at £10 a year, those ones. Somebody forgot the move location, didn't move that little tick box. So we did that on the Isle of Man. We were consultants to the Isle of Man government, and we got involved in the first project. We got so involved what they were doing, Janet's Corner, part of the TT course. And we effectively moved all our Denby Dale for our first Passivhaus details to the Isle of Man. And then right at the end of the presentation, getting ready to go to the Isle of Man, going with it, hang on, it's the Isle of Man. It's not Denby Dale on the Pennines, it's the Isle of Man. Change the weather location. How would we design it to get to 15 kilowatts using our Denby Dale information and forgetting using Denby Dale's location? Now it's Janet's Corner in the Isle of Man, it dropped to 2 kilowatts. So now everything could be released slightly to get back to the thing. Could we actually use the wrong weather data? And that's even the really key fact. That's how it's so important, getting every bit of data about the area that you're in, about your project works. And that's me basically done. And I'm not bad at questions, but I'm not technical, and I don't gamble or fluff or guess. If I don't know, I will tell you.